on this edition of Falmouth in Focus, paying tribute to outstanding Black scholars who made history in our community. A stormy walk around Surf Drive with a local climate advocacy group to hear a warning of adverse winds to come. And with the community, I'm Michael Kasparian.
And I'm Eileen Preston. That's all ahead. First, though, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the lives and livelihoods affected by fire on Main Street earlier this month. Stark reminders of the New Year's Day conflagration remain in place, with the entire building front at 176 Main Street fenced off to pedestrians.
An investigation into the fire is underway. Thankfully, nobody was seriously injured in the blaze. But 4 businesses at street level have been forced to keep their doors shut due to building damage. Even though this is the slow winter season in our town, that's a major economic blow to contend with.
At a recent event, Falmouth Fire Chief Timothy Smith saluted the professionalism of his firefighters. He said the New Year's Day Main Street and house fire on December 17th were both 3-alarm emergencies.
In fire lingo, that's a situation where you have a very active fire load and it's affecting the building and the fire is increasing, expanding, and we have concerns not only for our personnel to try and fight the fire and have enough resources on scene, but we're also worried about the adjoining buildings, what we call exposures. Both of our fires, I have to say that my hats are off to all the personnel that were on scene for their quick actions, their professionalism, their training. It all fell into place, and in particular the fire on New Year's Day, we were able to get in there in quick fashion and contain the fire to one side of the building. We were fully prepared to lose that entire building.
Losing that building would have meant losing history. It's one of the oldest on Main Street.
For the building's business owners affected by fire and water damage, this is a delicate time. The Falmouth Village Association issued a Facebook post soon after the fire. It reads, "Our friends and neighbors at the Weeks building that was ravaged by the New Year's Day fire appreciate all the thoughts and well wishes. Currently, they are wrapping their heads around this tragic incident, trying to move forward through unfamiliar territory. Please be patient as things develop." It is really kind of shocking to see that happen, but thankfully, as we had said earlier, nobody was seriously hurt. I know on our behalf, the Chamber has reached out to the business owners and extended an opportunity to work within the building, as the folks at 8 Cousins were able to do after their business was damaged by water damage.
Yeah, I'm glad you're there because you're so caring, and I'm glad so many people in the community have reached out. And the fire department has been really amazing, really. They give a lot of kudos,
I do, and I think it's really just another example of, neighbors helping neighbors, and as time goes on, we'll see more outpouring of support to the businesses and to the residents of that building.
Each January brings the federal holiday celebrating the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In tribute to his moral vision, FCTV member organization No Place for Hate held its annual breakfast in Dr. King's name at the Seacrest Beach Hotel.
This year's event included presentations by FCTV and other community stakeholders about anti-racist initiatives, and a special award for the Jewel Cobb Action Coalition. Here's a closer look.
I have a dream that my 5 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
In this year, we are delighted to honor the Jewel Cobb Action Coalition.
It is a great honor for the Jewel Cobb Action Coalition to receive this award from No Place for Hate Falmouth. The honor is deeply meaningful for us coming on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day. The JCAC is committed to achieving goals of both Dr. King and Dr. Jewel Plummer Cobb, goals for an inclusive, equitable, and welcoming society. The challenges, roadblocks, and biases that Dr. King and Dr. Cobb faced are still very much with us.
We have to continue our fight for inclusivity and stand up for equity and justice.
It gives me great pride to present right here in Falmouth, in my district, an organization and real action that's being taken place to do the right thing at a time when we should be having national leadership. It's taking us backwards. But it's communities like Falmouth, it's days like today when we fill a room like this and when we honor the work that you've done to take us in the right direction historically. That gives me great pride to present this recognition to you.
We have to embrace equity as a verb. Those of you who are ELA teachers, I know it's a noun. But in the context of social justice, it must be a verb. It must change. It must be intentional. It must be about transformative outcomes. See, we know inequity is a verb because we can see the pain of inequity. Somebody living on the streets, not because they want to. Somebody not having enough to eat. Somebody not having a winter coat today. People being discriminated against because they're non-binary or they're transgender. See, one of the things about people who are on the other side of justice is that we know when you're doing it to us. Because we've had to learn how to navigate it for a very long time. We know when we are being left out. We know when you don't really mean what you just said. Fostering equity and belonging requires deep reflection. Your own internal self. Take a look at yourself. Look in the mirror. See, a lot of the work that we do is about looking out the window at them. Oh, them pulled. Ain't it awful? Oh my goodness. Let me go help them people out. But we don't do the reflection, the deep reflection that we need to do to really unpack what it is that I bring to this conversation, what makes me the person. And furthermore, when I'm in a situation where I'm a little uncomfortable, turn to wonder, why am I uncomfortable? What is it that I learned or didn't learn? What did I do or I didn't do that I need to do differently? Do the self-interrogation that needs to be done. If you're really going to do this work, if you really want to foster equity and belonging in Falmouth and beyond, you've got to be intentional. It's only with intentionality do you get clarity, and it's only with clarity do you understand what transformative outcomes look like.
Black History Month starts in February, and the Woods Hole Diversity Advisory Committee has organized a full schedule of interesting events. This year's theme is African Americans and the Arts. There's simply too much to list in detail here and now, but the roster includes documentary screenings, conversations about dance and music, and a community festival, lots of it airing right here on FCTV. To enjoy the events for yourself, head to woodsholediversity.org/BHM2024.
Mullen Hall students have their own legacy of Black excellence to celebrate. And they recently explored the biography of Emma M. Barrow, Falmouth's first Black teacher and principal. She led Mullen Hall from 1977 to 1985. Miss Barrow's 76-year-old daughter recently visited the school to take students on a journey through history.
So the kids got together at Mullen Hall to celebrate the achievements of Emma Barrow. Emma Barrow is the very first African-American educator in Falmouth, the very first African-American administrative principal of Mullen Hall, and the kids got together and found out who she was, and to celebrate, January was her birthday, that's the month of her birthday. So Emma Barrow was a wonderful educator. When we celebrated with the kids, we had teachers which were former students of hers, and in tears in their eyes expressed how Emma Barrow was so impactful in their lives back when they were students. And it was just a great to share with students, but also reconnect with former students who are now teachers, and they were talking about they're talking about how wonderful she was as an educator.
The diversity, the family, the school family, the connectedness, and this is what it's all about. This is what you wanted for students in this country, well, this city, anywhere she went. And so she made it her journey, and her purpose in life was to teach kids like you and to help them on their journey wherever they wanted to go, and know that it was not impossible, because my mother went through a lot of obstacles to get where she was able to finish her education and achieve her dreams.
I think this is very important to celebrate because Falmouth has a rich, diverse past, and there's been many markers where diverse people has come to Falmouth and contribute. And I think it's important that we uplift those events so that in the future we can actually start looking for diverse people to say, we want you here, we have this rich past, and we want to celebrate and make the future even better. And so this is a great marker to uplift, and we want to move forward by saying we celebrate, we honor, and we promote diversity in Falmouth.
Time for a quick break. But just ahead on Falmouth in Focus, is getting distinctly unfriendly out there. And for families of limited means, that's more than a simple inconvenience.
It's around this time of year that the Massachusetts Good Neighbor Energy Fund kicks in to help struggling residents make ends meet in terms of energy expenses. Here's a closer look.
The Good Neighbor Energy Fund is, first of all, the reason they call it the Good Neighbor Energy Fund is that it's actually the people who fund it are your neighbors, are people who live in our communities, are people who are donating to this fund. Of course, there are companies like ours that will give matching funds, but the real core of the program is people helping people. It's to help people who have hit some sort of a financial crisis. And this is a way to sort of stop, take a breather, use this as a safety net, as a bridge, and to pay one of your energy bills. You pick. I mean, this is run by the Salvation Army. It is up to the person which energy bill they would like to pay. But what it is it's a way to sort of put the brakes on. It's a way to say, I will pay this bill. And then it also helps get you reconnected, to let you know, especially for people who really aren't used to dealing with this kind of a financial crisis. It lets them know that there are programs, there are people willing to help, people who have really dedicated their careers, like our customer care representatives. These are people that are well-trained. They are people that you can pick up the phone and call and say, here's my situation. If you need information about the Good Neighbor Energy Fund, that's something that they can walk you through. What do I have to do to qualify? How do I qualify for this program? The Good Neighbor Energy Fund, I think, is a great first step. And I really hope that people take the time to also contribute a few bucks. You know, if you get your bill, if your bill comes through the mail, there's an envelope that you could drop a check into. I pay my bills online. There's a place online where I could also toss in a few extra dollars and keep the Good Neighbor Energy Fund up and running. When I do donate it, is it also time to nudge my neighbor and say, hey, I just gave to the Good Neighbor Energy Fund. Want to join me? And do that maybe with your colleagues as well. Tax deductible, that's always a plus as well. But I think the real plus, the ultimate plus, is knowing that you did something. They call it the gift of warmth. I think that that's a very nice and a very accurate description of the Good Neighbor Energy Fund.
Snow, sleet, and rain have been in fairly generous supply lately here in Falmouth. FCTV member organization Falmouth Climate Action Network, or FalCan, says recent storms carry warning of a warming planet. We caught up with them on Surf Drive Beach, where they say the sands are yielding to stronger and stronger pounding by weather.
Hi, I'm Lynn Shad.
And I'm Liz Beardsley.
We are members of your Climate Action Network, FalCan. There's been a lot of really bad weather over the last several weeks, and we're very concerned about it and its connection with climate change and its effect on our community. Weather is weather, and weather's going to happen, but it seems to be coming more frequently.
The warmth and the change to ocean temperature is going to bring more energy in those storms, and that's really the concern, is greater impacts.
I am also serving on the Falmouth Beach Committee, and we have a subcommittee on sustainability and coastal resiliency. It is a normal thing for beaches to lose sand, but not at this particular rate. You can see along the dunes the erosion that is happening. Typically those dunes would have had a nice slope to them, and right now it looks like the water, because the water, especially in the last storm, came all the way up and beyond the dunes, and it's eating away at the dunes. The distance between where the ocean is now and where the bathhouse is has shrunk. You know, we tried to put in some facilities here for people, and yet the beach is being eroded out from underneath it. The other part is, you can see this pipe here is a dredge pipe that is not meant to be here. This floated in after one of the most recent storms over the last couple of weeks.
Wait, this thing did?
This did, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We are a small climate advocacy group that wants to get the message out about the really critical need to reduce our carbon emissions. We do that through education, and we do that through asking our town leaders to support policy along that way. One of the things that we helped accomplish for the town, and we do have to give credit to the town of Falmouth, we recently hired a sustainability director, a sustainability coordinator for the town. which is going to make some meaningful progress in helping the town to reduce their carbon emissions.
These changes that we've been talking about, they're scary, right?
Yeah.
And Falmouth's on the front lines of climate change, but FalCan's here to try to work towards solutions and to help everyone in town be part of that.
If you'd like to help us with the work, you can reach us at falmouthcan@gmail.com.
If winter gray gets you down in these coming months, the Falmouth Farmers Market invites you to get a little glimpse of green. The indoor market is taking place every Sunday at St. Barnabas from 12 to 3. Each weekend will feature between 12 and 18 vendors from local and regional businesses, offering leafy greens, meats, baked goods, and much more.
Yum.
The market runs through April 14th with a couple of Sundays off for occasions like Easter. And you can find details at falmouthfarmersmarket.com. So Michael, are you a pets guy? Kind of dogs or cats? Which is it?
It's kind of interesting. We've only had one dog in our whole lives, which we got from Friends of Falmouth Dogs. Unfortunately, she passed away this year.
Oh?
She was old. She was 10 when we did get her, and my wife's already starting to think about the next one. So I would say dogs.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I like dogs and cats myself.
right.
I got them
All
both.
our
2
furry
rescues,
friends.
right? Did you get
Wonderful.
a rescue?
Absolutely.
There you go. Every pet owner needs to have what one author calls the other family doctor. That's the title of a memoir by veterinarian Karen Fine. She stopped by the Falmouth Jewish congregation recently to talk about the emotional side of animal doctoring. Here's a sample of what she had to say.
I've been in hundreds of residences, working at kitchen tables and living room sofas, even in bedrooms and bathrooms. Occasionally, clients seem awkward as they invite me in, apologizing for clutter, dishes in a sink, or an unmade bed. Don't worry at all, I respond. No one sees my house. In this book, I'm going to open my door and allow a view into my own home. You may see my clutter, my unmade bed, the dishes in my sink. You may witness how fully I've loved my own animals and how I have struggled personally as well as professionally over the difficulties pet lovers face. And you can discover how much I have learned from my animal family members and patients about life and love and even death. And I was actually looking stuff up for the memoir, and I came across this concept of self-disclosure. And I think it's probably talked about more in the psychology community. As a therapist, you know, if someone says something to you, do you then say, oh, I've had a similar experience? And it's really kind of discouraged, I think, among medical professionals. Humans. But I think for veterinary medicine, it's really an untapped thing because we're caretakers of our own pets, just like you are caretakers of your pets. So if a fellow caretaker says to you, this is how I give my dog medicine, or this is how I trim my cat's nails, that's a very easy kind of disclosure thing. And you may not want to hear something from your physician, so something like, oh, when I had my colonoscopy, like that might be like, okay, that's a bit too much, but if you're a caretaker and your animal's going to have a procedure, or say gets diagnosed with diabetes, you might want to hear, oh, I had a cat with diabetes and it was hard for me at first, but then, I realized this, and after time this became easier, or whatever. You can really kind of connect over those experiences.
Dr. Fine's Full Talk is a real heart warmer. It'll be airing on FCTV's community channel and streaming platforms soon. Go to fctv.org to check listings.
And just around the corner on Falmouth in Focus.
Sit! No, not you, sir.
A manor full of murder suspects. We stop in on a local rehearsal of Clue on stage next.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo. Gracias. Thank you. What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
The latest round of grant funding by the Arts Foundation of Cape Cod is now open. Grants are open to individuals who live on Cape Cod and the islands. Building Capabilities grants would assist growth in the arts in areas like infrastructure or improving technology.
Community equity grants would engage underrepresented populations and address community challenges such as social justice, housing, or mental health. Monday, April 8th, is the application deadline, with winners likely to be announced in late April. Applications and full guidelines can be found at artsfoundation.org. If you are of a certain age, you will remember the premiere of the 1985 madcap murder mystery film, Clue. Yeah. If you're slightly older than a certain age, you will remember the debut of the board game that inspired the movie and turned kitchen tables into crime labs for decades.
The Falmouth Theatre Guild is doing its best to bring both of these legacies into 2024 with a modern take on the murder manor that offers up laughs and surprises. FCTV stopped in on a weekday rehearsal.
Are you expecting someone else? Indeed, I'll be right with you, sir.
I'm Jacob White. I am the director of Clue, as well as the Falmouth Theatre Guild's historian. I am very much leaning into a lot of the stuff that I loved from the film. The play itself does a wonderful job of bringing out the sort of pace, the madcap pace of the film, the running from room to room. There is a lot of running, a lot of cardio for my actors.
Out with it, Wadsworth.
It's not so much trying to memorize your lines, even though I'm having trouble with that. It's more of the remembering your line right after someone else says their line, but you have to be like 2 seconds right after them, or it's just not going to work.
I do scream the most in this play. The first week we were rehearsing, I lost my voice because I was screaming so much.
Oh, hey, it's Mr. Vardy.
Even our cast has had a really hard time just getting through the show without laughing at one another constantly.
I think you ought to explain yourself. Me?
They come up to me and they're like, "Oh, look, it's a body," and I have to sit there and be like, and then when I'm sitting there and I'm literally being a meat puppet, I have to sit there and not start laughing, and it's going to be harder when the audience starts laughing.
I wanted to kind of pay homage to a great Cape Cod artist, Edward Gorey. So our set. Everything about our set will be in black, white, and gray in the Edward Gorey style. Edward Gorey was kind of synonymous with the macabre and mystery.
Cool it, Butler!
It's an incredible cast. It's a lot of fun, and I hope people come to see it.
I found it very, very interesting, and I'm determined to enjoy myself. And oh, isn't this soup just so delicious?
Michael, personally, I've always felt Colonel Mustard was a little bit dodgy.
Well, don't let him anywhere near your candlestick. That'll do it for our show this time around. I'm Michael Kasparian.
And I'm Eileen Preston. Keep posting your photos and videos online with the hashtag MyFalmouth. We'd love to see them. We'll go out on some of those images now. Until next time, we'll see you around town.